Peterson left the
Mm-hmm.
American Ag Network to stay with the North Dakota Farmers. Was it Farmers Union? Is that who he was with?
Yeah, worked with Farmers Union, and I think he worked with Cattlemen's too. But I do know for sure Farmers Union. He worked with them,
Right.
and
He went up to the
ended up,
national
yeah,
office. Right. And so when
yeah,
Clay
yeah.
Peterson left the Dakota News Network, American Ag Network, you stepped into that role and got to work with Steve Carlson and Lyle Romine.
Yeah, yeah. It was a few years after Clay left. I know we were still getting mail for him when I started, and that was back in some part-time hours at the end of '96 when I was finishing up my degree at NDSU, and then I started full-time in that wonderful winter of '96, '97. And yeah, it started off with Lyle lived south of town
Yep.
in a little subdivision, and the flood of '97. I had just been training in for only a few weeks. Of course, I worked as a DJ, spinning CDs, such as the song you played at the top there with Tim McGraw, just country boys and girls getting down on the farm. But so I had a little bit of radio experience, and I had the degree in my back pocket. But starting off fresh, here comes the flood, and Lyle's got to be at home watching the home to make sure the water doesn't get too high. He's got neighbors who have water trouble. He's trying to help them. So he said, Halvorson, you're on. You got to do it. So I went, and away we went. So yeah, it was kind of trial by fire to start off, but yeah, it was good to work with Lyle. A heck of a guy, class act, and well respected for sure.
Yeah, terrific guy. There's a reason why Lyle lived down by Oxbow, and it was called Oxbow.
Well, yeah.
The market's
He
closed.
liked
Lyle was on the golf course, 1:15 every afternoon, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was probably closer to about, with the drive, probably closer to 2. But yeah. Yeah.
Well, those are the days.
He loved golf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glenn Douglas, Steve Carlson,
Yep.
Lyle Romine, Rusty Halvorson. A lot of
Yeah.
fun names back in those days. I got to work in the same building with all those guys. So, Rusty, you kind of come from broadcasting royalty, though. Let's go back to Williston. Your dad, really well known.
That's flattering. Yeah, thank you. That's flattering. Yep, Dad started off as a sports broadcaster, and he started up at KDLR in Devil's Lake. And at the time, Lyle Romine was actually, I believe, the program director in the Morning Man. And Dad started off doing play-by-play, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, what have you. And oftentimes, he and Lyle would go on the road together. Dad would do the play-by-play. Lyle would do the color. And Lyle was a really, really good sports broadcaster in his own right, too. And those guys hit it off. They were best of friends all through the 70s. And then Lyle moved to the network, and Dad and the family, we went out to Williston to KEYZ, 660 Keys Country. And that's where I started in high school, going in between my sophomore and junior years, just started as a weekend fella playing music. And it seems like yesterday, but in another sense, Scotty Winston with the Gold Mornings on KFGO, he's playing these country classics, and those were top hits when I was on the air. So I'm like, no, this can't be. That can't be a golden oldie. Come on, I was playing that song.
It goes by fast. That is for sure.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It hurts.
But yeah, Dad spent many miles on the road, many years, and retired somewhere in the 10s, 20 something, and lucky enough, he was recognized by the North Dakota Hall of Fame for sports writers and sports broadcasters. And my uncle Les Halvorson, he and his family live up in Botno, and he was recognized for that same honor here recently too.
Wow.
So yeah, it kind of runs in the family a little bit. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
quite a broadcasting pedigree, that's for sure. And now Rusty Halvorson has joined the staff at KFGO, and you hear him all the time, and you'll hear him this afternoon again on the Drive Time News Hour with our markets and with our ag news coming up this afternoon. Mm-hmm. Rusty, what got you into ag broadcasting?
Well, you know what? I liked radio. I still like radio a lot, and being around it so much, I would go with home games at Dad, either baseball or basketball and whatnot. Some of the closer road games like Minot or Bismarck or whatnot, I'd ride along with him. I'd sit in the booth with him and put on the headphones and just listen. And been around radio since I was just a little kid, so I always liked radio. But Lee said, "Don't get in the radio. You don't want to do that." So I wanted to. I had an idea of maybe being a large animal veterinarian. So I got a 2-year degree in Williston at the State College there,
Sure.
Associate's degree in pre-veterinary science. And I came to NDSU and I did a lot of thinking and spoke with my advisor. And I told him straight out, I said, I really, really like agriculture, but I really, really like radio too. And the examples I brought up were Lyle, and also because I knew Lyle since I was a kid. And also I brought up the name Sarah's uncle, Al Gustin. I said, I would like to do what those guys do, talk on the radio about farming and ranching and agriculture, because I thought that would be interesting. I knew I couldn't be a farmer myself. I was raised as a city kid. Mom and Dad grew up on the farm, and I still have relatives that farm and ranch. But I didn't really see a place in that for me. So I thought, well, what the heck? If you can't do, why not just talk about it every day? And so the advisor set me up with a general ag degree at NDSU with a minor in mass communications. They didn't have the Ag Com program there or then that they do now. Again, that's been quite a few moons ago. But I got my degree and was looking for a place to start. And I had 2 doors I was going to knock on. One was going to be Lyle, just to get some advice. And 2, I was going to go over and see Jack Michaels at KFGO, because he and Dad were friends, and I looked up to Jack from when he was playing as a Coyote basketball and Keeber baseball and stuff like that. And I went to see Lyle, and he said, "Holy cow, is this the same kid that I knew in Devil's Lake?" Because I had like a cowboy hat on and boots, and it was cold out, so I think I had a duster on. So, yeah, he's like, "Are you the same? Are you sure you're Lee's kid?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me, Chris." So we got to talking a little bit, and I explained, what I've done. I was at Williston and played CDs, and I just got done and going to be done at NDSU here at the end of the semester, the winter semester. And he said, "Well, as a matter of fact, maybe we could use you around here. So keep in touch." And yeah, I kept in touch, and by golly, spent the better part over 2 decades with the guy. We lost him back in 2010.
Yeah.
At an early age, but just all those years with him, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. It was great.
And it's a shame that you and Clay and Lyle couldn't all 3 of you been there, because you all have been 3 peas in a pod. I'll tell you that. And
well, yeah, I heard that Clay was quite the guy.
He was a terrific guy, and Clay's gone now too, by the way, and that's kind of shocking, because both of those guys were pretty young. So,
yep, absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Rusty Halvorson, you can hear him all the time on KFGO. He's joined our team. A part of what he's going to be doing in his future. You're part of the Growing Harvest Ag Network as well, Rusty?
Yep, that is correct.
What is the Growing Harvest Ag Network in a one sentence?
In one sentence, the Growing Harvest Ag Network is the network where you can hear the same information that you would hear on KFGO, but you will hear it on other affiliates throughout the region.
Gotcha. There it is. Okay. So it's KFGO and the Growing Harvest Ag Network. And it's Rusty Halvorson. And Rusty, I kind of feel like you kind of have come home a little bit.
I feel the same way. Thanks for having me, Dan, and say hi to Paulie. He's a helpful guy.
He's a great guy. Just don't tell him that where he can hear you. Okay. Rusty Halvorson, thanks so much. Have a happy New Year, Rusty.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. You too.
Take care. KFGO time coming up on 4:52. You're listening to The Drive on the Mighty 790 KFGO.